On February 23, 1998, the police department in Briar Hollow, a small, quiet town, stamped a murder file in bold red ink, solved. It had been just 11 days since a young teacher, Claire Donovan, was found dead at the icy edge of Lake Mercer. For those 11 days, the town had been paralyzed by fear. A press conference, a pair of handcuffs, and a suspect in custody brought a wave of relief. The town applauded the swift justice. They shouldn't have, because some cases don't stay closed. They just wait. Claire Donovan had been new to Briar Hollow. She was 26, a bright and organized teacher who color-coded her lesson plans. She was the kind of person who remembered every student's birthday and called her mother every Sunday night. The Sunday before she died, she didn't make that call. On her last night, she left a co-worker's birthday dinner at exactly 9:14 p.m. Security footage caught her smiling as she pulled on her navy wool coat. Outside, the air was freezing. Her car was later found parked neatly outside her apartment. Her purse was still on the passenger seat, but her phone lay cracked on the pavement. In the thin layer of snow, there were faint drag marks. And then, nothing. Her body was discovered the next morning beneath a brittle layer of ice at the lake's shoreline. The autopsy was clear: blunt force trauma to the back of the head. She had been alive when she entered the water. The town's sense of safety shattered overnight. Within 3 days, police made an arrest. Aaron Pike, a 29-year-old mechanic with a short temper and a minor assault charge from years ago. He'd been at the same restaurant as Claire, picking up takeout. He admitted they'd exchanged a few polite words. Security footage showed him leaving just 10 minutes after she did. That became the entire narrative. After a grueling 16-hour interrogation, Aaron signed a confession. He later claimed he was exhausted, confused, and was told he could go home if he just admitted it was an accident. He said the detectives fed him details of the crime scene that he couldn't have known. But at the trial, none of that seemed to matter. The town needed a villain, and the jury delivered one in under 6 hours. Life in prison. The file was stamped, the case was closed, and the headlines faded. For 6 years, the case stayed buried. Then, a journalist named Mara Ellison received an anonymous envelope. Inside was a photograph of Claire, taken from across the street on the night she died. It was a deliberate, clear shot. On the back, in block letters, were the words, "You got the wrong man." Mara thought it was a prank until a second envelope arrived. This one contained a photocopy of a police evidence log. One item was circled, unidentified latent fingerprint, driver's side exterior. There was a fingerprint on Claire's car that didn't match Aaron Pike. Mara started digging. She filed public records requests and discovered the original fingerprint card had been mysteriously misfiled. Misfiled in a murder case. The more she investigated, the stranger it got. The prosecution's case against Aaron had relied almost entirely on his confession. There was no DNA, no fibers, no witnesses placing him at the crime scene. And that confession? It was full of details that had already been released to the press, details the investigators could have easily fed him. The story started to unravel. By 2007, a legal advocacy group took on Aaron's case. Forensic science had advanced significantly since 1998, and they petitioned to retest the evidence. After a long fight, a judge granted them access to Claire's navy wool coat. Under new, more powerful analysis, forensic experts found microscopic skin cells preserved beneath her fingernails. The DNA did not belong to Aaron Pike. It belonged to someone else. Someone whose DNA was already in the national database. The name was Victor Hale. It meant nothing to the people of Briar Hollow, but law enforcement in 2 neighboring states knew it well. Hale was a traveling construction supervisor with a history of assaulting women. In 1998, he had been working on a project just outside Briar Hollow. Records showed he was living in temporary housing just 2 blocks from Claire's apartment at the time of her death. Investigators then located a digital backup of that partial fingerprint from Claire's car. The technology in 1998 couldn't get a confident match, but the technology in 2008 could. It was a perfect match to Victor Hale. In 2009, after 10 years in prison for a crime he didn't commit, Aaron Pike's conviction was overturned. As he walked out of the courthouse a free man, cameras captured his pale, gaunt face. He looked much older than 39. He didn't smile. He just said quietly, I told you. But the case wasn't over. Authorities arrested Victor Hale in Nevada. He denied everything. He claimed he'd never even heard of Claire Donovan. But then detectives searched a storage unit he rented under a fake name. Inside were boxes filled with newspaper clippings about Claire's murder, collected over a decade. Tucked inside one of the boxes was a silver charm bracelet engraved with the initials C.D. It was Claire's bracelet, which had been missing from her apartment. Its existence had never been made public. Only the killer could have known about it. At Hale's trial, the prosecution laid out the damning timeline. Hale leaving the restaurant just after Claire, his fingerprint on her car, his DNA under her fingernails, the hidden bracelet. The defense tried to argue it was all a coincidence, a desperate attempt to correct a past mistake. But this time, the jury also heard the audio from Aaron Pike's original interrogation. They heard how detectives had guided him, fed him information, and pushed him toward the confession they wanted. They understood how badly the town had needed a villain 10 years prior. In 2011, Victor Hale was convicted of first-degree murder and sentenced to life without parole. This time, there was no applause, just a heavy, somber silence. Briar Hollow had learned a terrifying lesson. For 10 years, an innocent man sat in a cell while the real killer walked free. The case had refused to die because the truth had been buried along with the victim. Even now, residents of Briar Hollow talk about it in hushed tones. They talk about how quickly suspicion had turned into certainty, and how a confession felt easier than continuing to live in doubt. The case of Claire Donovan is a chilling reminder that justice can be fragile, and that sometimes the most dangerous moment in an investigation is when everyone decides it's over. It shows that sometimes the only thing that allows the truth to survive is its own stubborn refusal to stay buried.